All right, my name is Colby Peterson. I am the interviewer for this interview. We're interviewing Joe Nahas. Joe Nahas is a program specialist in community capacity building for Department of Workforce Services and the Refugee Services Office in that department. Joe's a former mentor of mine and also a former refugee. Joe is from Sierra Leone, came into the United States as a refugee and has worked his way to the top, right, Joe?
Thanks, Kobe, for having me.
Great. So this is for a course, MPC 6400 Leadership and Communication. So today we're going to be talking with Joe about some of his experiences as a leader back in his home country and also here in the United States in the refugee communities of Salt Lake. And we're just going to go through a few questions and get his insights. So Joe, first of all, can you start by telling us about your background, maybe your childhood, your teen years, where you grew up, some of the things you used to do, family values, education, those kinds of things?
Well, that's going to be a really long story since I'm 51 years old now. Yeah, I remember I was born in southern Sierra Leone from a town called Bo. Um, um, I grew up with my dad and my mom, but like most African families, it was a polygamous type of family. So my dad had 4 wives, and I had to grow up in that environment. I remember when I was little, my dad loved me so much, simply because I always listen to instructions. If he tells me to do anything, I always do what he tells me to do. So I had a personal um, connection and a relationship with my dad. He, he made me in charge of coffee making. So early in the morning at 6 a.m., he's going to wake me up. I have to go outside, take my axe, break firewood, make fire without even an oil, and make his coffee even before I go to school. So even after school, I have to come sit by him. He needs anything, he's going to send me. We spend most of the time together really after school. But I noticed that when I was in like first grade, I was not doing well in school. I remember I had to stay in the class for the first year, the second year, and getting to the third year. I told him, I'm not doing well in school, something's just wrong. I said, what do you want to do? I said, can I go live with my sister? Because my sister she was married then. So he said, okay, we can ask her. Then he asked my sister, and I was allowed to stay with my sister. And from that time, I did really very well in school. And I finished elementary school. I went to what we call secondary school. That was like junior high and senior and high school put together. So I did very well in the national exams. I went to Christ the King College. This was a Catholic school in my town. And I was there for 6 years. So you start from 1, from 2, from 3, from 4, from 5. You go to from 6, which is 2 years, lower 6 and upper 6. I remember when we went from 5, we were preparing, you have to take a national exam. And we didn't have teachers at that time. So I told my friends, hey, we don't have teachers, we have to do something because the exam is coming. So why not organize ourselves and into study groups? So we agreed to do the study groups. And we said, well, each one of us take one topic from this, from the subject, and you come teach us. Then another person takes another topic and come teach us. So that's what we did, and we were prepared for our national exam, and all of us in that group were very successful. So we got promoted to the next class, which was from 6, the lower 6th form. And we still had the issues, but my problem was, as I look at the form 1, form 2, there were no teachers. So usually I would just take a walk along the corridor to see what's going on in my free time. So I didn't go to the library. I went to check in all those classes. I would find out that most of the time there are no teachers in the class. So I would just walk into the class and ask them, hey, what are you supposed to be doing? They say, we're supposed to be having math. I said, okay, can I teach you? So that was what I was doing. As a student, I was teaching from 1, from 2, even from 3 classes. I didn't know I was just doing something really cool for them until in our school, there were like 3,000 students, a big school. So they usually divide the school into 4 parts. They call them 4 houses. So we have 4 houses in one school. So each house has a captain. So to get a captain, there's always an election. So we went to this big meeting from my own house. I was not even thinking about it. So some other people wanted to run for the captainship. And I was just sitting at the back, and all the young boys, they say, this is the guy who won, this is the guy who they just voted for me right there.
They just nominated you.
They nominated, and there was no opposition after that one.
Oh, wow.
I became the captain for that group.
Why did they choose you, do you think? What was it about you that they liked as the captain?
Well, in life, really, the little things you do is what really matter, not the big things. Those times I went to those classes, I met with those students and helped them with their classwork. There was no teacher. I didn't know most of them, but they knew me because I was in their classes teaching them. So those little things really made a difference for them. So they are really very grateful for what I was doing for them.
So you went around and mentored them, helped them get through those tough exams, and because of that time that you spent with them, even though you necessarily didn't have to, that was what made the difference. So when the time came to find a leader, they went back to you because you had been a mentor to them.
Correct.
Awesome.
Even in when I was living with my sister, I was always a very obedient boy, and all the rest in the house they were really troublemakers. So my sister would say, "I'm leaving. I'm traveling. You are in charge of the house, because I know you're not going to cause any trouble. But those guys, if they cause any trouble, let me know." So she would travel and come back. Everybody's complaining. He said, "I know Joseph is not part of this. You guys explain what happened." So she always trusted me for a lot of things in the house because I listened to her and I was very respectful.
That's great, Joe. So that kind of led into my second question, which was, what experiences did you have in childhood, teen years, adult years, that led you to believe that you were or could be a leader? And so it sounds like, this experience where your sister put a lot of trust in you was really critical in helping you understand that, you could be somebody who could lead others because of the core values that you had within yourself. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I still enjoy that privilege because even though I'm the last but one member of the family, the entire family considers me to be.
All right, sorry, we're back. We had a little bit of technical issues there, but we're making it work for us. So, Joe, I wanted to continue our conversation, and you talked a little bit about those core values and about how your sister trusted you an awful lot because of how reliable you were and how honest you were. Can you tell me more about, I feel like those are a couple of your core values. Can you tell me more about what your core values are and how they've influenced your leadership experiences and or abilities?
Yeah, it's really very important that you ask me this question, and this is something I take very seriously, even with my own family. We have established what we call the 5 core pillars. One is God, 2 family, 3 community service, 4 education, and 5 your career. So that one we have established, and within the framework of the family, we emphasize 3 things: honesty, respect, and hard work. We emphasize those ones to our kids. So we try to teach our kids those core values. And even when I go out, as I talk to communities and families, I try to share that kind of thing with them because it's really helpful. And some of the things we do, sometimes I say they have to be beyond our knowledge. Sometimes supernatural. We have to ask for good things, then we can receive them. So I try very hard to make sure they understand this. And even if you ask even my smallest kid in the house, I ask them, they're going to tell you about those 5 core values. So it's been our guiding rod for most of the time. And truly, it makes it easy. It makes parenting really easy because everybody works within the framework. And we have less trouble in the family and even within our community.
That's great. And so, when you guys established those core pillars, was it sort of a conscious decision by you and Saran to say, okay, these are who the Nahas family is, and we want to teach our children that? Or was it more of an organic process? You just kind of thought of it as it came, and then one day you just said, oh yeah, this is who we are. Was it more deliberate, or did it just happen?
Well, that's a very interesting question. We have been talking about it for a long, long time because every Sunday we sit down in the evening and have a family meeting. It didn't even occur that very much to me, but the one thing you never understand about kids is that they really listen to you.
They do.
They
Okay.
really listen and they
This is
listen.
good news.
And they once it's something that really touch their heart, they take it really seriously. And I told you how the pillars came about. So my son had gone to the bathroom. He had washed. It took a long about 30 minutes in the bathroom. So I came. I said, why is it taking so long? I said, other people want to use the bathroom. So I didn't know it was even writing on the mirror. You know when it's hot in the bathroom, it's so misty on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So he was writing. That's how he wrote all those 5 pillars. I came into the bathroom.
He wrote them.
He wrote them.
Wow.
I started reading. I said, oh. I said, you wrote these ones? He said, this is what I was doing here. I said, okay. I said, well, put it on paper and we'll come share it in the next meeting. So that's how we establish those core values.
Yeah, and so where did he get them from? Did he get them from school or something like that? Like, how did those come about? Was it something you had told him previously, and then, like I said, you guys kind of crystallized them, wrote them down on paper after that fateful day in the bathroom?
Yeah, every Sunday there's a family meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We meet around 6, 7 o'clock. We spend sometimes 2, 3 hours just talking. Well, of course, we read our Bible. Then we go into discussion topics, ask questions. We pray for people that need help. We pray for a lot of people in the family. We pray for communities. We pray for sick people, homeless people. Yeah, so I always tell them, I say, put others first. Don't put yourself first. Make sure, even before you pray for. There are a lot of people in the hospital that are seriously sick. Think about them, pray for them. Think about the homeless. They're in the cold right now. Think about them, pray for them. So we try to establish those core things. And I believe it's really helping them.
No, that's great. So I kind of want to ask you to name a person who has had a tremendous impact on you as a leader. Maybe someone who's been a mentor to you, and why and how did that person impact your life generally and your leadership abilities specifically?
Yes. I have one man who was a mentor, and the second person is my wife. Well, let me talk about this man. He's called Ali Bangura. And in my country, I was working at the university, and he was just promoted to being a minister. It's like what they call it, like a Secretary of State in America. We call them ministers
in the government.
In the government.
Okay.
So
what was his role? Was he?
He was a minister for trade, industry, and transportation.
Okay.
So when he got that promotion, he just sent to our university, our local university there. He said looking for somebody good to work with. So they recommended me. He called me for interview. I went there. We spoke for about 1 hour. Then he asked me, "Can you start tomorrow?" I said, "No, I cannot start tomorrow. You have to give me like 1 month to start working with you." So I went back and asked for permission, and I started working with this man. And I didn't know in Africa they do wiretapping all over the place. He taps everybody's telephone and he listens to every
Okay.
for that first 2-3 months. Yeah, he know exactly who were the bad guys and who were the good guys. And one day just called a big meeting with everybody. He said, "You see this guy here? From now on, you have to talk to him if you need anything from me." So I was surprised. I said, "Oh, but I'm not a civil servant, so I just give him." He said, "Well, they have to talk to you because I've observed you and you seem to be a really good man." And we really became really close friends. Up to now, we are still very close friends. And he told me one day, he said, "Between me and you, just the two of us, we can rule this country very well without any issues." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, I have a lot of faith in you." Well, this was it's hard to find them in Africa. But I found this guy, honest guy, hardworking, has a vision for what he's doing. And I learned a lot from him within that time I was working with him. And it's surprising we are still friends up to now. I talk to him, even though he's in Sierra Leone, I always talk to him on the phone. He even came to visit me last year. He was with me for some time. Well, very close. But he is one of the really good guys that mentored me and and gave me proper insight as into how government works, what are the things you are expected to be doing when you're working for your country. So he actually proved to me that you have to be selfless if you want to help your country. And I learned a lot. My wife too has been one principal person in my life. When I I I was really I was not a bad guy, but I became really focused more on family after I met my wife, and she just changed my life because we always talk about family. We started having kids and all with all the things we went through in life with the war in my country, and up to this time, she has been the backbone of the family. I call her the brain, and I'm the machine. So she gives me the ideas, and I just put it into action. So she is just a really very important person in my entire life.
Oh, that's great, Joe. And I actually had not heard that story about your job with the government in Sierra Leone before. So now we're going to kind of bring things a little bit more local, and I wanted to ask you, as a minority leader here in northern Utah, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges, and what do you do to overcome those challenges? What do you think?
Well, I came here as a refugee, and generally, it's huge. And when you come as a refugee, it's a totally different system, a different culture, a different background, from entirely different from where we or what we came, what we are used to. But the the cultural adjustment is so huge. It's one of the biggest challenge
Mm.
any refugee will face. And that will, whether you are educated or not educated. If you are educated, it helps a bit. If you are not educated, it's even worse. And it's one of the biggest challenges because it's a complicated system based on laws, based on procedures, based on policies. And for somebody who is not educated to lead to surviving that kind of system really is confusing. And it's the biggest challenge we see among refugees. And we see that a lot. You go to any home, you see there's a problem. Any home, there's a problem because they're confused, they don't understand, and it gets to the point wherein they just give up because they don't see themselves as having any control, any authority anymore, even within their own family domain.
Mm.
So you see, yeah, families are broken, the kids, most of them are in jail, they're doing bad stuff because they don't understand how the system works here. So the biggest challenge is one of cultural adjustment, and it doesn't help when you are illiterate. You didn't even go illiterate in your own language. It makes it more difficult.
Yeah, and sometimes I've noticed working with some communities, like some languages don't even have a written script for their language. It's just oral. So
Yeah.
so what are you doing, or what are people doing to sort of alleviate this problem of understanding the system, the new system that people are being injected into? How do you help people understand and not become overwhelmed?
Yeah, it's a really tough one because it's a huge refugee population here, and of course they give them some cultural orientation when they arrive. Everybody that arrives here, but it's just very limited. To know about the United States within 3 hours, it just doesn't work. And well, like I said earlier on, really the little things you do is what really matter to a family. We did workshops, we did meetings. It helps a bit, but very, very limited effect. But what really helps people is when you reach out to them, you go into their home, you sit down with them, and listen and understand what's going on, and you try to help them um, in, in different ways. So that um, at that level, at that micro level, and those little things you tell them really impact them. And I've noticed that that's helping them because I go to homes and talk to families, and we are trying to get them out. Some of the kids we put them in school, travel and put them in work, and even the parents try to get them working. Well, it's one of the biggest challenge we experience as immigrants, and particularly refugees.
So it sounds like mentorship, like you talked about before, just having somebody to kind of help guide you through that system, but also community, people working together because very often somebody in the community will have some knowledge and they can share it with somebody else, and that can help them get through some of the tough times and gain that knowledge for themselves so that they can be successful.
Well, that's why we have been helping to form them into community and non-profit corporations so that they can help their own members. So at least we are in every community. You may have at least 10 people who understand the system, who understand the laws and post policies and procedures and where to go for what. You have the kind of people. So they are helping as a community member, sometimes as family members, sometimes as friends. So that communal kind of living helps, and that's what that's why some of them are successful because they engage with their communities when they need something. They ask, they talk to their leaders, or sometimes they come to our office and ask. So it's if you ask, of course you get the help, but if you don't, then it becomes a problem for you. And sometimes culturally, people don't just talk about their family situations with other people, and it really impacts them adversely because by the time they they realize that something's wrong, then it's too late. So we encourage them, hey, don't hide anything. You need to talk to somebody, find somebody, confide it, and talk to them. They can give you advice, they can direct you, they can connect you, and you can get some help. The good thing about the years, there's help for everything and help for everyone, as long as you know what you want.
Okay. Joe, I wanted to ask you, and you started down this path a little bit. I guess you're like the perfect interviewee. But you talked a little bit about some insights or some advice that you might give to those refugee leaders who are starting those community organizations and trying to help their communities grow. So, if you could give some pieces of advice to those leaders, maybe they're starting out. What would you say to them on how to be successful in that role?
Well, once you get to the United States, hey, you have to get a goal, and the goals are always really simple. Um, you English, you have to know English, of course. Some people come here, they speak English, which is good,
Did
but
you?
most of them don't speak English
Mhm.
because they come from the camps. Some come from English, French-speaking countries. Some come from Arab-speaking countries. So it's that kind of situation. So English is one of the biggest things. So you make that a goal to learn English. You make it a goal to get some education. You have to, whether it's functional literacy or go to college or go to university, get formal education. That should be a goal, if not even for you, but for your family members, your kids. Make sure that is the goal. And the other goal is to get a good job. If you want to do business, you can do business also. But at least you can take care of the economic aspect and be self-reliant because you don't want to be dependent on other than be a burden on the government for a long, long time. So you have to set those goals. And I know for you to get to those goals, you need fundamentals to take care of you. Of course, you need a safe family, you need a stronger family, you need a good relationship between husband and wives. You need to preserve your own culture. You need to understand the American culture. All those are fundamentals you need to take care of. So make sure you take care of those fundamentals because once you take care of those fundamentals, you can be able to achieve your dreams or your goals you have set yourself.
That's great. So, like you said, the first thing, you set those goals for yourself so that you know where you're going. You have the roadmap to success personally. And then once you kind of get to that level, Joe, where, maybe someone's been elected to one of these boards, what are some insights that you might give them on being a leader in Northern Utah? Uh, how do they become successful as leaders in the nonprofit?
Well, the concept of leadership for these guys, when we work with them, we tell them, hey, it's not it's not about you. It's about your family, your brothers and your sisters. That's how we tell them because they are your brothers, they are your sisters. It's about helping them. So whatever you learn, you make sure you transfer those skills to them in different ways, um, either through a meeting or through mediation between when there's a dispute or or the parents and the kids. because it's hard. In the system over there, the job of a family is really split between you and your neighbors. So it's like it takes a neighbor to raise a child, which makes it easy for us over there in Africa. But once you come to the US, that job is solely your job. It's like your full-time job. It's your responsibility 90% of the time. The kids go to school, but your job becomes even bigger because it's a different, it's an independent kind of system. You take care of your own issues. And they are finding it's really difficult to understand that you have to be taking care of your kids. Even the kids are going somewhere to a school function. It's not for them. You don't even see them. If the kid has a game, you don't even see them. They don't show up there because they don't think that's their job. Um, they have to understand that it's a different system. It's a different culture. Your child, your responsibility, your family is your 100% responsibility. So they have to understand. So we try to tell the leader, hey, let them understand that the child, anybody that comes in, if the government comes in, they're only helping you. If the school comes in, they're only helping you. If the police comes around, they're only helping you. It's your job. That is your job. It's not like over there when you leave your kid the whole day, you just come home and you see the kid. It's still fine because other people are around and helping to take care. But yeah, it's totally different. You leave your kid, he can be doing something really dangerous, which he doesn't even know what he's doing. So we try to tell them your leadership is not about being a president. You have to be about serving your people and making them to adjust to this new system that is completely different from what they know originally.
Man, that is great. Joe, thank you so much for talking to me today. I know we were a little bit later than we had planned, but due to technical difficulties. But thank you so much for chatting with me today and sharing your insights on leadership.
Thanks for having me.